Hey,
Hey,
welcome everybody to Comics Cast Artist Roundtable, episode 13, lucky number 13. Okay, so I just wanted to welcome everybody here, and I also wanted to welcome my very special guest for today, Mr. Michael Almeida from Heroes Latinos. Say hi to everybody, Michael Almeida.
hello everybody. Thank you, Derek, for having me. Like, this is a really good opportunity for me and my project because it's the first time I'm gonna introduce myself here in the USA. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I just want to give a little shout out in terms of Michael Almeida. He's a international superstar. So in the brief time that I got to know him, we did a little bit of a pre-interview just to hear about Heroes Latinos. And everybody, you're in for a treat to see what Michael Almeida is going to bring here to the United States. He already has a track record in, was it Brazil? Is that where you?
Yeah.
Oh, Colombia, where he already has nine comic titles, issues under his belt. And I basically, while talking to him, I liken it to like it's the MCU for the Latino heroes universe. So very intrigued. I think, like I said, everybody's going to be in for a real treat to see what Michael Almeida is going to bring here to the United States. So before we dive into it, Michael Almeida, what you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, and that way we can kind of like delve into your Kickstarter and some of the other projects that you're working on.
Okay. So this comic starts in 2017, and like I always have like this wild imagination. I always like to create stories, but all kind of stories. I remember when I was like 11 years old, I started to write like shorts stories about vampires. Because I don't know, I always like vampires, like that kind of stuff, but never superheroes.
Uh
So
huh.
that was kind of my background. So I don't know, I always have a big imagination. So that's it. Like that's how my imaginations developed. Like,
So basically, like early teens, you kind of were into into vampire stories, not necessarily comics.
yeah, not
Uh,
comics. But
uh,
actually, in that time, because Colombia doesn't have that big thing of comics, like we don't have that culture of comics. So it's like I wasn't into it. The only
mm,
superheroes that I see is in the animated shows, like X-Men of the 90s and that stuff. So the
mm.
only comics that I have that I read in that time, it was a Mexican superhero, is Caliman. Uh,
Kaliman. Uh huh.
I'm from Chile. I have these other comics like Condorito. It's not superheroes, but it's like a really
Uh
good
huh.
story too. So that was like my only contact that I had with comics in that time.
Okay. So what comic? I guess you said you were into you saw cartoons, but what was the first comic? I guess that kind of like opened your eyes to the possibility of what the comic medium could do for you.
No, like I told you, the only comic that I read when I was a little, it was just Kaliman,
Oh,
like
right.
the superheroes thing. But
Uh huh.
how then I get in this comic world? Like it
Yeah.
was like I never thought I make comics. When I had the idea to make a superhero, was only for Colombia, and it was just one hero. But my
Hmm.
idea always was like to save Latin America. But I was thinking like if I have a hero from Colombia and other countries, they don't want to be saved by a Colombian because it's like that's kind of sad because we are really like each one just concentrate in his country. But my idea
Right.
with this is bring the union, like we all together can be great. So that's
Right.
how it started. So I choose like five countries that has really big culture of comics. So
Hmm.
my first group was the Argentina, Mexico, Peru, Brazil, and Colombia. So everything
Hmm.
started there. But when I start with my first character, who was Colombia, I never thought I'm gonna make comics. I just have this idea in my mind how to create a superhero,
Hmm.
and I have like all this story in my head. And
Yeah.
I was looking for an artist like just to make 5 pages, but those
Uh-huh.
pages was like a scenes. Like he's gonna say hi to the other person. Like it's just one scenes.
Hmm.
So when I get to this artist who made this, like he was the one who created the comic pages, and when I saw that,
Yeah.
oh my god, like maybe this can be like this is my thing. So because of him, he created the history like a comic.
Uh-huh.
That was the idea that okay, I can make comics maybe.
Yeah, that was an interesting story that you shared with me in terms of your introduction into comics, because you hadn't been exposed to comics. Like I think in America, we just take it for granted that comics are just accessible, and that's what's unique about your story, is that when you're growing up, you actually did not have that accessibility. But the cool thing that you told me about is that you, through the wonders of like social media, actually we have somebody here who says, "What's up? Total excellence." So we already got a fan here from as Iffy5. So thank you very much for you got a fan there, Michael Almeida. But anyway, what was cool about your story is that you weren't necessarily out to make a comic. You said you basically, I think was it DeviantArt or some social media platform. You pretty much were, hey, these are characters. Is there anybody out there that maybe could like draw these, like realize these characters for me? And it was, I believe, was it Carlos? It wasn't Carlos Rodrigo.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Well, anyway, the whole point of the matter is that you put it out there, and the artist that responded took your characters and put them in a sequential story format, just like comic books, and that's what opened your eyes to.
Yeah. So in that time, it was just with Colombia. In that time, I didn't have the other heroes. So when I saw that, like, oh my God, I can do this. And after that I saw like I can make a comic. I always like to think big. So I just want to be in more countries, not just Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I started. Like, oh my God, so I need to start to make another heroes. So in that time, I was living in Brazil, and all the time I was thinking just how to create, how to create. So my first thing to make was to make the suits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to draw. Way back before, I used to know, and I can tell if I keep drawing all these times. Right now, I can draw like this, but I quit. I don't know what happened to me because I remember my old draws. It was like, oh wow, I have.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, that's another great story, because like if you look, to our guests, if you look at the background here, we're going to share some art a little later on, but just look at the background behind Michael, and this is a little bit of a tease in terms of what I'm going to show you guys a little later on, in terms of the fantastic characters and the rich universe that Mike has crafted with his talented artists. Oh, and just I sort of forgot. I was so excited to get Michael in here. Audience, if you want to look at the very bottom, there's a scrolling ticker, and that's how you can get an idea of or more information of Michael's characters, Michael's universe. And special treat too, he actually has a Kickstarter that's going to be closing in the next week, and we want to get the word out. And hopefully, when people see the fantastic artwork and the storytelling that Michael is bringing to the table, that you're going to see a spike in support, and we're going to be able to get the 10th issue in the Michael Almeida Heroes Latinos universe successfully funded. So again, check out the ticker below and show some support and love for Michael's projects. So that being said, we're talking a little bit more about how now you have a artist that you're working with, and you had initially like 5 characters. They were representations from like other Latin countries, and then you're coming up with a story now. So how did that move? Like in terms of that relationship with that one artist, did you through his sequential storytelling, did you like come up with the story to go along? Did you start working with him and start saying, hey, can you do more work for me? Can you do more pages based on this larger story that you've come up with?
So after I designed the first 5 characters that I have, I already have kind of the story in my mind, but I would like to see them like for the first time in one page together, because the first pages that I have, it was the story of Colombia, but I never had those heroes like in one page. So that's when I make a post in a Facebook page of Brazil, and a lot of people start to reply me. So I make a test for them, like, can you draw this hero in your style? And then I saw Carlos, and I was like, wow, this is the hero that I want. So in that time, I told to him, and he made 4 posters, and that was like the test. And after he made those posters, like I get really happy, and to see that, I can say, like, oh my God, maybe this can happen. Like I can do this.
Okay, so I think this is a good time where we can kind of show some of the artwork that you shared with me. And you mentioned Carlos Rodrigo. Is it Rodriguez or Rodrigo? Rodrigo. Actually, that is how I came to know you. Full disclosure, that's how I actually got to know Heroes Latinos and Michael Almeida. I became friends with Carlos Rodrigo, and a little, later on we can probably plug a little bit his
Yeah.
URL or his Facebook. But he is a part of the Heroes Latinos art team, and I tell you, this art is nothing short of phenomenal. So let me share a PDF of what you have given to what you showed me. Hold on one moment. And actually, while I'm pulling it up, why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about how you met Carlos?
So after I met him was because I never saw him in person. Actually, everything has been in computer. Actually, that I was living in Brazil, I was in Rio de Janeiro, but he's from Sao Paulo. So
Mm-hmm.
until now, like we've been working together like 3 years. I never saw him.
Oh, really? So that's the wonders of the social media and the internet, is that you never actually met Carlos. You guys just have a relationship strictly through email, and that's how you guys developed your relationship, right?
Yes. So the first story that I met with him was with the Peruvian hero Norots. That's the first comic. Uh, to tell a little more about Carlos, like he told me, like he started illustration making for games. He never was in comics before, so his
Mm-hmm.
professional life was with games, and then he started to be a teacher, and now he's a teacher of, he's an artist teacher.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You told me a little bit about it. He's never done comic art. He just did like video games and posters and things like that. Yet
And
he's
fan
an
art. He made comics, but like a fan art. So DC,
uh,
Marvel, yeah. But
right.
like to warrant a full project, like a comic project, that was the first time of him.
Uh-huh.
And
I
it's amazing because he also told me like he take classes with Ivan Reis, like that's a really
uh,
big comic artist from Brazil, but he was from DC for Marvel, and it's like,
uh-huh.
oh my god, that's why he has this amazing art. Like,
Yeah, and you actually, there was a comment that just popped up here about I think his name was Monarch or Gold. I can't remember, but he was just commenting that your logo design and your art is sick. And just so you know, sick is a good thing. So I just
yeah,
wanted, here it is. The title logo is looking sweet. The art is sick too. That's one thing I didn't even talk to you about. Do you have who designs your logos? Are you a graphic designer, or do
no,
you
I
have
kind of have idea, but no, the logo of Heroes Latinos was Carlos.
Carlos? So Carlos is a graphic designer as well. So
Yeah.
very phenomenal. So what I have right here is an example of, this is the communication way that Carlos and Mike talk. We have like this is an example of what Michael provides to him, and I just thought this was brilliant. Uh, 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 it shows you what kind of communicator that Mike is, because he can do this type of sketch, the thumbnail sketch, and be able to share it with Carlos. And this is what Carlos comes up with. So you want to explain a little bit about your creative process,
Yeah,
how
of
you talk to
course.
him? I guess
So,
you Brazilian too, like, just so you speak Portuguese, right, as well as Spanish. So there's no language barrier. You just need to be able to explain your ideas, right, in terms of these thumbnails.
yeah. So the creative process, like I told you before, like all these stories are in my mind. I have nothing like writing because I'm really lazy with that. Like I'm not good like to. I can be all day in Photoshop doing things, but when it comes to writing, like so I have all the ideas in my mind.
Yes.
When I have the comic, so I say like kind of this have to be like 24 pages, 25 maximum. So
Mm-hmm.
I start to make like the sketch, like really basic, so I don't get complicated. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can show that one again, the first one I said, so that's how I imagine the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I
Yeah.
said to Carlos. I make of course a really description of the script, so
Uh-huh.
he can relate the both and come with the final result. So that's what I always send. When I post this kind of picture in the my groups and in social media, oh my god, the people love it. Like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, how your artist is really good. How he can translate this to.
Well, it's your Carlos. Don't get me wrong, Carlos artwork is phenomenal, but you as a storyteller, you being able to express what the story is, and be even though you have this very. I'm not even gonna. I'm not even gonna. It communicates. You may say that it's very simple or elementary, but to me, I look at this and I see as an artist, when I see like basic scripts, or if I get thumbnails for an idea, uh, and it's working with another writer, it's really cool that you can still express the words with this really simple illustration, and you have such a chemistry with Carlos. He's able
But
to do this. This is amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing because we always like we are kind of connect. Because I told you when I received the the final page with color and everything, that's the time when I start to make the dialogue. So when I send this to Carlos, the dialogues are not yet. I just imagine how the scene is. I don't even know what they're gonna say. I start to make the. It's like a puzzle. So it's
Right.
like, and Carlos always nailed it, like because he kind of understand the story and he made the expression and he always nailed it. I don't know how, but it works. So it's
Well,
so good.
those are one of those wonders of the universe, happy accidents. I don't know what you want to call it, fate, that you're able to connect with a phenomenal artist who's able to translate your vision. And let's keep on going through some of these other things. So like here's some another additional pages, and you can see the
So after he sent me the before of this that page like
uh-huh.
approved, but
Yes.
generally like 90% of the cases is that one. I never changed too much. So no, it's that one. It's okay. So after that, he goes to make the final art,
Uh-huh.
and it's like the you can go to the other page. So
Yes.
he lists all the details, and you can see like how it is. Like wow.
Yeah, the rendering. I mean, even this rough. I mean, these are rough pencils, but they're awesome to me. And then when I see this, these are more finished pencils, and you can just see you have a phenomenal artist that can really visualize your story. Just check out that. I mean, fire is not an easy thing to draw, and then the shadows that it casts and the rendering, supremely talented. And then we have here. This is like I said,
So
this is a treat for our audience because they get to see the full process. We went from this. Uh, let's see. Hold on one second. Let me zoom in one more time. We went from this to this, and then here we have an inked process. So you want to talk a little bit about this ink piece?
yeah, Carlos, he can from the beginning. He start also to make all the process. Like he can color, he can ink, he can do everything. But if
Mm-hmm.
I just hire him, it's gonna take too much time. So then we talk, and we need another people, right? So in this case, Carlos is just the one who draw, and we
Mm-hmm.
have this other artist. He's Leandro Nascimento. He's also
Yes.
from Brazil. Carlos and him are friends,
Uh
and
huh.
he bring him. So he's the one who made the ink.
Ah, okay. All right. So this is the inks are done here by is it Leandro?
Leandro
Leandro
Nascimento.
Nascimento. Yeah, and I guess this is kind of like the Heroes Latinos team. We have you said Kevin Hayes is
Yeah,
who,
he's the editor. Like, yeah,
okay.
he told me he's part of the.
He's part of the team.
Yeah.
And what is Kevin's role in
Ah,
Heroes
no,
Latinos?
he's the one who made the edition, the final edition.
Oh, the final edition. Okay, and then
Yeah,
of course,
we do it together. Like, yeah,
yeah.
he's kind of new of the group because I need more
Ah,
help.
okay, no problem. That's no problem. And then we have Carlos. Obviously, is the penciler, and as the he and the inks are done by Leandro. And then you have Diego
Borin.
Berin.
Borin.
Yes, Berin. What does Diego do?
Diego is the one who made the color.
The colors. Okay, so like
So,
this next page. This is this Diego's work. The,
yeah.
the colors. Okay. Yeah. So here
So,
we get to see the full process here from like concept by Michael. We got to see pencils, inks, and now colors. This is what our audience, if you want to back this phenomenal Kickstarter, this is the quality that you're going to see. It is pro independent comics at its finest. So check this out. So go ahead, Mike. Tell me a little bit more about this.
like I told you, I have already nine titles, right? So, the first seven editions, I have a different colors. Who is a girl? She's Bruna Costa,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a student of Carlos. So I was
Ah,
talking with Bruna, and he told me, yeah, Carlos was the one who teach me to the color, the draw, like everything. So it's like, oh my God, wow. So Carlos was the one who bring her, and she's the first one. If you go to the next page, I think
okay.
it's a cover. Yeah, that
Yes.
one. This is the first issue. This is the that's his colors.
Okay, so this is like, was this issue one? Yeah, issue one. This is issue one in the nine titles, the nine issues that preceded the 10th issue, which is the Kickstarter that's going on right now. So here we're gonna go. This is the first title, and I think you told me he's Peruvian. This particular character is Peruvian,
Ah, yeah,
right?
his
Okay.
Peruvian.
Okay. So like before we get into this, I want to take this moment to kind of talk a little bit about Heroes Latinos in terms of what Michael's kind of like his agenda in terms of like what, aside from telling good stories with phenomenal characters who just happen to be Hispanic, it's also, there's a two-part thing. It's to introduce these type of characters, but it's also to kind of like a little bit of have a historical context to the countries that they're from, so that there's a little bit of kind of like historical fiction that's tied to these comic characters. That was your intention, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
So
well,
this, so this Peruvian character, tell me, you told me a little bit about. I'm gonna let you talk about his special power, just the interesting backstory, which was like a coincidence, and how you just happened to be on a bus ride, and I want you to tell that whole story. It's so brilliant. So go ahead.
so my idea with this project, of course, is to show different things of Latin America. So, but I would like to like to put like personal stories of it, right? So, for example, in this case with Peru,
Mm-hmm.
in that time, it was like 7 years ago. I was going to live in Argentina, so I was in Colombia. So to go there, I have a bus, and it was
Mm-hmm.
7 days ride. So when I get to Lima, there is this guy who came in the bus, and he's going to another part of Peru in the same bus, and sit next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like I don't nothing. We just start to talk, and that guy told me his story. Like I don't know if you know, but in Peru there's a lot of Japanese history.
Yep.
And that
Yep.
guy is 100% Peruvian, but
Mm-hmm.
he was married to a Japanese girl who born in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
So he started to tell me this story, and he told me, and 2 years ago, I think it was, I have a baby, and the name of the baby was Makoto. So that name, I don't know, I never heard a name like that. I was like, oh my God, wow, I love that name, and I always have that name in my mind. So the Peruvian character has that name. He's
Uh-huh.
Makoto Quispe.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know. In that time, 7 years ago, I didn't know I'm gonna make comics and didn't know I'm gonna make history. Like, so it was like, I think it was cool to put that name there. So
Yeah, and that was like again an example of just how how you met Carlos. You just happened to be sitting on a bus, and you wanted to tell a Peru. Well, you didn't know yet, but you were going
yeah,
to tell. You
no,
were destined to tell a story about a Peruvian superhero, and you just happened to be sitting beside somebody who was had a wealth of. I mean, you talked to him for a period of, what was it, 6 or 7 days, and
no,
he
that
he
was
kind.
like we went together like 2 days straight.
Oh, 2 days straight. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but while you were sitting, he kind of was telling you. If correct me if I'm wrong, but he kind of like told you a little bit about Peruvian history, and did it kind of like move
No, he
into like,
just no, he just told me about his personal life.
oh,
Like he
about
was
his personal
married.
life? Oh,
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
yeah, because he
Okay.
was married with a Japanese girl, and then they have this baby, and the name of the baby was Makoto. So I always loved that name. I don't know why.
Okay.
So 7 years later, I remember that
Uh-huh.
history, and that's the name of the Peruvian character. So it's
Right.
like,
Okay. So, well, here we have. Okay, we have the cover issue here of the first comic that you did, and you mentioned his character is Makoto, and he's in a wheelchair, right?
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Makoto in terms of like his and how the happy accident that had to go in terms of like how he's in a wheelchair, but his power and it kind of how it relates to Peruvian folklore and
Actually,
heroes.
I always have to, with my project, I want to be inclusive. So I think it would be cool to have someone in wheelchair, right?
Mhm.
So my thing, I would like to give even that if he's in a wheelchair, his power is gonna be a speed like Flash, so he can run really fast. So I didn't in that time because I was new in this comic industry. I didn't research that much.
Mhm.
But when I showed this history to in my social media, the people start to say, "Oh my God, you his power is speed because of the Chaskis." And that time, like Chaskis, so I went to research. I went to Google, and the Chaskis was the messenger of the Incas a long time ago, like in the history, they were the one who sent the message running
Yes,
to country. Like they have a base here, for example, in New York, and they have to
yes.
the quiz. They have to run to Manhattan, and there's another child waiting for the message, and he has to take the message to another person, and like that. So they were really fast. So it
Uh-huh.
was like, oh my god! So I nailed it.
Yeah, that's what I thought that when we were talking about it. It's like they were the Incan version of the Pony Express here in the United States, except they didn't use ponies. These were running
Yeah.
messengers that were actually running from point to point. And so this before the internet, before Pony Express, this is the way the way messages would be delivered.
And it's
And I,
interesting because when they were really close to the other person, they have like a something like a trumpet. So when
mhm,
they're close, they start to play the trumpet. So
uh-huh.
they know, he's coming, he's coming. So it's like really fast. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting, and I was really captivated to that story that's gonna be related with my with my ninth comic, The Natives. So I want
Hmm.
to show
The,
more of that.
yeah, that and so that's also what I wanted to say is that even though there's already these 9 issues that Michael has already come up with, he is going to be doing kind of like a remastered version later on. We're going to talk about all 9 before we get to the 10th one, but he's going to, like I said before, it's the like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Michael has decided that all of these titles, each one of these issues is actually about a different like superhero, but they're all related together. There's going to be a larger narrative, and it spans time because we have here with this issue 1. I'm assuming this is like modern day, but as we get to issue 10, which is the
Ah,
current Kickstarter, that's like in the past, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next issue, and you can talk a little bit about that. So here we have issue number 2. Now tell us a little bit about who these people are and what country they hail from.
So this is the first group that I create. They are like the traditional heroes that we know, like the traditional because they have the suit and it's kind of like DC Marvel because when you start in the superhero world, you always get inspired by them, right?
Right.
So this is the first one, and this is one of the poster Carlos made. This is the one I told him I would like to see them together. So this is the one, and this
Ah,
poster became the cover of the issue, the second issue.
yeah. And we just had a comment that popped up here, and he was basically commenting on some of the original, some of the first artwork that we showed, and even there were no dialogue boxes. You can look at the sequential storytelling, and that just goes to show how even though this is an international book that was done in Latin America, you could see your artist, your storytelling. There doesn't have to be any word bubbles. People can read it because it's just great art, and read the artwork and be able to know what the story is about. So phenomenal artwork. So here we have
So in the center we have Brazil, which is Havana.
right.
The yellow one is Colombia. His name is Aendes.
Uh
The
huh.
blue one is Argentina. He's Arstado. The red one with the fire is Águila de Fuego. He's from Mexico. And
Ah,
the down is Norots, the Peruvian one. So that's
ah,
the first group that I have.
okay.
So my idea with each group is to tell different things about Latin America.
Excellent. And that's what I love about this is that I think this is a great way to kind of not to tell just a great superhero story, but they represent different countries. And I think that's what you were talking about is that you kind of want to introduce a little bit of historical folklore or historical context to your characters, so that way, as your readers pick up your books, not only are they going to get a great superhero story, but they're going to get to an insight into the country's history. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my idea is to go in that way because that's why my native heroes, the comic, is
Mm-hmm.
really important because they are even that stories in the past is a key to understand the heroes of the present because I want to them to be related.
Yes.
So from the beginning, like I just imagine this project really big to have 20 comics or more. So in each comic, I would like to introduce more thing about Latin America. I just
Yeah.
have to go like I
Uh-huh.
have a storytelling, but I can add a little thing of Latin America. So that's my idea. So with each group, I would like to talk about different things.
Yeah, and that's one thing also that I thought was really interesting is that we talked about like how you wanted to every issue is going to have a different Latin American country, but you also were saying is that your grander vision is not just to tell stories about Latino heroes is that you actually want to be like a Marvel or a DC and have international heroes where they don't just have to be from Latin countries. They could be from all over the world. It's just that these initial characters happen to be in Latin America, and that's what your end game is, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. So let's go to the next one. So this is issue number 3. So who are these characters and where do they hail from?
So the third issue is about Colombia, the original history. So this is Aendes. This comic, because it was the first one I created, has a lot of mistakes because, like I told you, I just have 3 years in this, and when I started, I was so excited. I was just thinking, just made, but I didn't think too much. No, I need to do this. I need to slow down a little bit. So this
Uh-huh.
comic has a lot of mistakes, but
I don't see any mistakes. I just see fantastic artwork.
no,
This
in the
is great.
album, yeah. But in the story, it has like a few things. But right now, I'm working in a second edition, and now this hero is like wow, and it's really connected to the natives heroes. Like,
Uh-huh. So he has like maybe he's like a descendant of maybe the natives that are going to possibly. I'm not going to.
but this, yeah,
Uh-huh.
no, we
I'm not
can
gonna.
talk about.
I don't want to spoil it, or if that's just me making an assumption. But so let's. So here we go to issue number 4 here. So
So
let's
now,
let's. Uh-huh.
this is the Brazilian one. She's the girl. She's one of the principal characters in the first 9 issues. So she's really important to get to know the reason behind everything, even with the natives. So she's really important for me. And
Mhm.
this comic, because I was living in Brazil, when this has a similar story with Peru. Every day that I have to work, where I live is really close to my work, so I always go walking,
Mhm.
and I always get to see like a poster on the wall of a girl, like she's promoting the tarot. You know tarot?
No, what is that? Oh,
The
tarot.
tarot, yeah, tarot.
The tarot
The
card.
cards,
The tarot
the
cards.
cards. Yeah, yeah.
Ah, okay. I gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
to predict the future and that. So I
Mhm.
always get to see that. Let me see if I can get it. I always see a poster about that, and I
Uh-huh.
get inspired to create a hero of her like that.
That
So
is another like just happy coincidence. Happens you happen to see a poster every day when you walk to work, and that inspired you to like do this the background of just this character in terms of like she has to do she's like she can she's a soothsayer. She can kind of like see the future. Is that
I
what
don't know
her?
if I can share the screen so you can get the poster.
Okay, okay. If you want to hit, you can share the screen. I think you have that option. If not,
Let me
you
see.
yeah, I think if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can share
Yeah,
it.
there. Yeah, it's sharing now.
No, we can't see it. But if you want to send me the URL in the in the chat on Facebook, I'll be happy to pull that up for you. Or um, so just so this is but that artwork that you're going to share, that's like what inspired you to do this particular character. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So even that poster is in the comic because it's important. Like the one character is walking and the poster is also there. So I think it
Uh,
was.
Okay. Well, you know what? It's to me, I wanted to just see. I mean, it may have inspired you to do this particular character, but I just like this character. I don't need to see the the poster to see that. We want to be able to appreciate your version of this character. So let's go ahead and go to issue number 5 here. So this looks definitely more modern and has more of an urban feel to it. So you want to talk a little bit about this issue number 5?
Yeah, so with this issue is like the start of the second group. They are the anti-heroes. Like I make him like anti-heroes because they have really hard story. They really suffer a lot. So that's how anti-hero start. Like they want to make good, but it doesn't matter how they do it, right?
All right.
So
Kind of like
that's
the
I need to develop that idea in the comics. Like they are anti-heroes, but this is just a start. So this character here, he's from Venezuela and he's Icterus.
so is icteros, is there like a dual meaning behind icteros, or is
Yeah,
okay?
because the national animal of Venezuela is a bird, and the
Mhm.
name is Turpial, and the scientist name of that bird is Icterus because they are
Ah,
connected in the story. I
I
don't know,
see.
I don't know if you see in the background there is a bird. That's the
Oh
bird.
yeah, yeah. That bird right here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I didn't notice it until you told me. So this is the national bird of Venezuela,
Yeah,
right? Is that
the turpial.
so? And I take it this it's a bird of prey. I take it it's a predatory bird, right? So
Yeah,
so that's so basically when you talk about the anti-hero, he's kind of like I'm trying to think of the U.S. equivalent. He's like a Punisher kind of like character. He has
I
like
would
a
like to go in that way, but I just need like more comics to develop that personality, because
uh,
as an independent, I have to do the things like kind of fast, so
mhm.
it's not easy like to create a lot of histories, but I would like to show in the next comics to come.
Yeah, I love it.
So in this
So,
comic is special because, like I told you, I want to talk about different things in each group. And with this group, for example, this comic is about the protests that Venezuela has. I get inspired, but everything that happened to them.
right.
But I also is connected with the other comics because in this comic is also reptilians, and the first villain of the other comics are reptilians too. So I I talk about something that happened in real life,
Uh-huh.
and I make it in comic. So that's
Yeah.
the idea because in Latin America, especially the last 2 years, there's a lot of protests because the people is not happy with the government. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's
And
my idea.
I like how you're weaving some of the current event, the current political situation, or just the unrest, I guess, a little bit with it. But you were talking about the reptilians. They're the main bad guys, and we saw. I guess it was in issue 1. They were kind of introduced there, but you see them as kind of like background villains in some of these other comics, right?
See, I don't know if you have that poster. I send you. That's one of the
Uh-huh.
posters.
Okay.
Made the reptilia one.
Okay, well, we're gonna go through all the art that you sent me,
Yeah,
so I'm sure we'll hit upon it. So let's keep on going down these other issues that lead up to like your current Kickstarter. So here we are at issue number 6,
yeah,
and yeah, I noticed you have here Los Antiheroes. So
yeah.
these are even more anti-heroes that you're introducing. So please tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, because each group is five characters. So I already have an individual comic with Venezuela. So this comic is for the other four. So
Mm,
my initial idea for me is too important to show the beginning of the hero. I don't want to put them like I have powers. No, I really like to give a reason like why they have this power. So
right.
my initial idea was to create a comic for each one of them, but at one time I realized, but I cannot make like 10 comics, 20 comics for each character because it's really difficult. So
Mhm.
with this comic, I make like I join them and they have like I tell their stories like in a resume. So in the final page they get connected. I don't know if you understand me what.
Yeah, I get you. Basically, you're saying is that they're all connected. All these
Yeah.
stories are interwoven, and it may not be very apparent at first, but you're telling a larger narrative, and that's basically what I was alluding to at the very beginning of our show is that each
So
each story is somewhat self-contained. They tell an ending and a beginning and an end, but they're part of a larger story.
so
So
I
if people, you told me like if you pick up the issue, you don't have to read issue 1 to understand what happens in issue 5. Is that
yeah.
correct?
Yeah, that's my idea also because it's a strategy. Because we're talking about Latin American countries. So, for example, what if I go to Peru to sell my project? The people maybe don't want to start with Colombia; they want to go with Peru. With Peru, right? So that's
Yes.
the strategy. Like you can start with anyone with the issue 2, 3, 4, and you're gonna understand because
Mhm.
the story is an individual story from the beginning, but the last part is the one who connect with the others. So that's
Yeah.
also happy with the anti-heroes. I
Mhm.
in this comic I tell the the start of the billions of this comic because you can see that it's Consantos Kuklus,
Mhm.
and I also tell a little story of the each anti-hero and how in the end they get connected. But
Mm.
I also am explaining how they get there because in the end all come together.
Yeah. So like that goes to show you Michael Almeida's marketing strategy. It's like I love that because we get to like the historical context, the historical fiction that you weaved into a modern story, um, but it also shows how these all these characters from all these different countries are still kind of related as well. And we talked about it too. It's not only going to just be geography that it's spanning; it's going to be spanning time, because that's I think that was another interesting thing is that these were all done in Latin American countries, but your first initiative in America, your first domestic one, is going to be this Kickstarter that we're going to show, which is issue 10. But all of these are like somewhat modern, and you had an interesting take on it because now you're going to the past. But let's work our way up to it. I just want to give a little bit of a tease to what the Kickstarter is about. So now we're on issue 6. So here's goes. We go to 7. Oh my gosh! It's like every cover that I show is just so rich with storytelling and so vibrant. So tell us a little bit more about issue 7.
So issue 7, like I told you, like each one of the pages is connected. So in this story, like all of them come together. I don't know if I can make a spoil, but they come together in this one. But the heroes, they already know each other, right? So they met the anti-heroes, and they have like kind of a civil war for something that happened in the comic. So in this issue, they fight together to go to the next issue. In the 7th issue is the first time the all 10 characters are in the same comic.
Yeah, so here we got a comment from Alan Michael Warden, and he's just like me, loving everything that we're seeing here. And I'm just looking, I look at the covers, and I haven't even read the issues myself, but I can already see the building narrative here. And if you look in the background, we have I guess is that the main reptilian villain?
No, he's a draconian.
Draconian. Okay, all right. So we have to
really important for the issue. Like if you read his story, is like wow. Like the writer Carlos really loved the story with him.
Okay.
And it's like, and actually this cover is double. The other half I didn't say because it's the back part, but
shoot! You should have sent it to us. We're gonna have to look at that a little later on. But this is one thing that I was encouraging Michael to do, is because right now when we get to issue 10. Or 9, yes. When we get there, is that the current Kickstarter one? He said that he's planning on remastering the previous issues, but I was like telling him is like you got to put it up there as it is so that people can kind of just get a taste for all this rich backstory that leads up to the current Kickstarter campaign. But anyway, that was my little advice to him. So he needs to do that before he even remasters it, because I think that even in what he calls there were lots of mistakes. I don't think there was a lot of mistakes. I think that those mistakes make the story richer, and you're just going to tie them a little closer. But I encourage people to reach out to Michael, and possibly he can maybe generate high resolution PDFs, and maybe he can offer that as another Kickstarter a little later on. But anyway, let's keep on moving because the momentum is building to the last issue here. So here we have issue 8, and this looks very cosmic. So here, tell us a little bit about this.
This issue is yet in Latin America, so the people who buy my comics, they just know until issue 7. So the issue 8 and 9, no one knows yet, but it's already done.
Okay.
My point is because when I was in Colombia, there is just 4 events in the year, really big. So a lot of people buy me online, but sometimes they have to pay the shipping, and it's really expensive just for one comic. So my idea is to publish 2 comics at the time, so it worth the shipping.
Yeah.
So that's why these last 2 issues is not published yet.
Oh, so this hasn't been released yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we definitely got to find a way to get this to readers to see this.
Actually, Carlos, he created another cover for this, but he shows all the characters in one. But I was like, oh my God, I would like to bring a different cover, because in all covers they have persons. So this particular image is from the comic 8. So I don't know, when I just caught it and I put it, and I like what I see. Because if you can see, the quality of the drawing is really good. That
it is
a cover. Because this really small. It's just one scene, this part.
Well, what gets me is we saw all these covers with all the heroes, of course, and it was very. What I like about this is that I said it has a very cosmic. It has a global. It has a much far-reaching a narrative because it goes beyond what you just see on Earth. It's on a much bigger scale. And
I don't think this is a spoiler. I don't think so. But in my universe,
I don't want you to give away anything. I want you to, but if you feel like you can talk about it, please do. So
yeah, because in my universe, I always I imagine, I love the moon. I don't know why, but I imagine that way back before the moon wasn't a circle. For me, it was like a belt of asteroids around the Earth. So that's what you can see here.
Uh-huh.
For me,
Oh, okay. So this is kind of like a
is the moon.
Like Saturn's rings. They coalesced. So like you're saying that this is the moon, and
Yeah,
it's gonna
around the Earth.
coalesce. Ah, okay.
So
Got it.
in the issue, you're gonna see why this happened because
Mm.
the moon's breaks just in issue A.
Oh, that sounds very bad. If the moon breaks,
Yeah,
I can see like maybe this issue is going to talk about global catastrophe, type
yeah.
things happening. All
So
right.
now we're gonna see what happened until comic 10
Yeah.
because
Okay.
you with this comic is the hull of the universe. Like you can understand everything what happened with this comic and the nine. After that, like I don't need to I need to start new
Yeah.
because you already understand everything.
Awesome. Cool. I hope our audience is eating it up as just as much as I am. This is just an intriguing story. So let's go to here. So now we are at the Nativos, which is the current. This is what's on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay. So here, obviously, we go from like the modern look. We've gone to like this cosmic angle that was in that last issue, but now we're like going to the past. And not only are we going to the past, this is your first the domestic American debut of Heroes Latinos. So tell us a little bit more about why you decided to go in this direction and who these people are that we see on the cover.
But actually, I was thinking first to create a Kickstarter with the second edition of the first eight comics,
Mhm.
but that edition is gonna be like 250 pages and it's too big, too much. And
Mhm.
for me, after Kickstarter, like I don't think I'm gonna get it. So after thinking, I came up with the idea why I can start with the comic nine. Like it's okay because, like I told you before, all my stories, like you can understand everything
Mhm.
and you can understand the story, and if you're missing something you can get it with the other comic, but you get the point of the comic. That's my idea.
Right.
And so this comic is about the conquest time, like the conquest where they come here to conquer us.
Right.
So my idea with this is like how I can say this, because right now the native people is really forgotten, like no one is talking about, like if someone has a is
Mhm.
indigenous in this time, like it's changed, like, and that's absurd. Like for me, that was the idea of the comic, to show them like they are our past, we need to respect them,
Mhm.
and we need to give the recognition they deserve. So that's my point with this comic. I want to show in a creative way how the magic of them was taken away to give uh, to bring the new world, the world we
Right.
need.
Yeah,
And
and that's what we talked about. You basically wanted to I want to say it's like the forgotten history of native peoples. Basically, it's sort of like before what is quote unquote the New World, when the explorers and conquerors came to Latin America, South America, North America, and basically they brought their culture with them and kind of erased. They erased kind of, and you're saying their that culture, that history that was a part of the natives. You're saying it's like magic, and that's the fantastic part that you're doing. You're basically sharing that lost history by kind of like framing it in the form of magic, and that's what the story is talking about. Is like magic versus the coming conquerors and them bringing their culture. Is that kind of like what you were trying to do?
yeah, but for me, I don't like to create the stories I create. It's not literally, like for example, I talk about magic, but for me, they have magic, of course, but that magic is the culture.
Yes.
How
Yes.
the
Mhm.
conquerors take the magic from them. So that's
Yeah.
the idea of the comic. So
Yeah.
that's really important for me. I really love to create concepts
Hmm.
so I can come up with something new. For example, if we're gonna see like they bring the seeds to us, right? So I
Hmm.
show the seeds, but not like I'm sick. No, it's in a different way, and I
Hmm.
meet with another concept of the time to come with something new. That's my idea.
Yeah, I love that because it gives it's like it's a creative way of telling a story that has roots in history, and especially if it's a history or a culture that most people don't even know about, because it's been kind of like a because there isn't really a medium unless you decide to go read a lot of older books or like history books, not comic books that tell that story or that history. So I thought that was a brilliant angle for you to explore in terms of storytelling, because you can tell that history in a very creative way, with even like fantastic characters, and putting it, like I said, framing it in the form of magic, which is brilliant. I think that's a nice way of doing that as well. So I'm
Something
gonna. Oh yeah, go ahead.
something that I would like to be clear about it, because I have this question in other groups.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can see different characters here, right? So this costume, of course, I made my research.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from different cultures, but I'm not talking about just one culture, because the people say, "I but this look like Mexico, like
Uh
why
huh.
you?" So my point with this is to show the conquest and the evangelism.
Uh huh.
That's the point of the comic. But for me, in the future, I have a lot of potential with these heroes. I can create another serious comic talking about different cultures, the Incas, the
The Mayan.
Aztecas, the
Yeah.
Mayas. I
Yeah.
would love to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, if I have money, I will create a comic every month.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to. This is the mission of Comics Cast, is that we want to promote the independent creator. And I just, like I said, this is such a rich comic. Just from, if you want to just look at even just the art perspective, that's amazing. But your storytelling, in terms of how you want to like educate as well as stimulate, in terms of like very great story, stimulating storytelling. It's all there.
Yeah, it's about Latino community, because for us, the Latinos, the people always have a lot of stereotypes, and my idea with this project is to break that. Like, that's
mm-hmm.
why I create my first heroes look like Marvel and DC. Because why? We cannot have custom because we are Latinos. No, we cannot. So the
Yeah.
the fancy of my comic, of my project, is the Latinos united are a really great force, and we can also save the world. Why not? So
That
that's my
is
project.
exactly, and I think in this world of we talked a little bit about diversity and inclusivity. What I like about this is, even though it does have it's in your studio, it's Heroes Latinos. I don't feel like it's. I look at it and I don't feel like it's heavy-handed in the sense of like pushing you towards doing one thing or another. It's more about great art, great storytelling, and that's all that matters. It may have a Latin angle to it, but it's just telling a good story with great art, and that's what I appreciate about what I see right here. And so with that, let's this is the last page of this one. You sent me another set, and I don't know if you want to like
Yeah.
talk about these. They're kind of like more like posters and composite shots. Do you
Yeah.
want to take? Okay.
So another thing that I didn't say, how I create all these groups. So
Uh-huh.
like I told you, for me, I just gonna have like my initial idea is to have just 5 comics with each one of the 5 heroes, and that's it. And I done with this.
Mm-hmm.
But when I released this, a lot of people will say, "I but why they have suits? Why they look like Marvel, like DC, like why?" So after thinking and see all those critiques, I said maybe they're right. I would like to create another version of these heroes, and that's what the anti-heroes come. So if you
Uh,
see, they have like regular clothes. They don't have.
yeah, well, spandex. They're not wearing spandex and things like
Yeah.
that.
So that was my idea. So when I post this group, that people, oh my god, this is really cool. You are really the best. But then more critics like, I but what about the indigenous people? Like they
Uh-huh.
also part of us, and that's when I, oh my god, they're right. So all the critics, I'm really receptive. Even it's the matter how you listen to them. Don't feel like I they judges me. No, all that is to make you grow. So
Mm.
that's how I create the native heroes, and it was like wow.
Yeah,
And
it's so like this is the principal characters from the Kickstarter that you're doing right now. These are the nativos. Do you want to talk a little bit about these individual characters? Let us know
yeah,
from left to right.
I'm really yeah. So left to right. So like every character of mine is comes from different countries, right? So here we can see the first one is Panama.
Mm-hmm.
She's from Panama. The
This is
next one,
Panam.
yeah, she's
Uh-huh.
Gunake. That's the name, Gunake.
Gwanaki. Okay.
Yeah. The second one is from Ecuador. He's
Okay.
Chakain. Chakain.
Okay.
The this character in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
she's Naguara. She's from Nicaragua.
Okay. And the
And
mask.
this character is really special because she's connected his story because she has an animal. She's
Yes.
connected with the story of Venezuela, who has the beard, and he's
Uh-huh.
connected with Cuba. Cuba has a how I say that animal in English, a pulpo.
Okay, I'm not sure what. Oh, you
Yeah,
mean
it's
this
an,
this particular animal? Is it a jaguar or is it a
that one is
or
an yeah, octopus. The Cuban has an octopus.
oh Cuba? Oh, it's octopus. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so this character in the middle, she has an animal, right?
Uh-huh.
So his story also is connected with the story of Venezuela. And
Mm.
remember, Venezuela has the bear,
Okay.
has another animal, and the character of Cuba, he
Uh-huh.
has another animal, and I'm gonna create a history with those three.
Wow,
So you
I'm
can
getting
see here how
uh-huh.
this native is connected with the character of Venezuela and the hero of the Cuba. Do you know
Uh,
what I mean?
yes, yes. So
Yeah.
you're actually weaving even the stories of the cultural histories. If there are relationships between countries, you're actually putting that into the narrative, the narration, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
So
so, okay, so we talked about this character, this character here that's masked. What is his name?
he's Hasha Yantui. He's from Bolivia.
Bolivia. Okay, so what's his backstory?
Mm.
Oh, you can't tell me. Okay.
No, because if I mention, it's gonna be a big spoil because
Okay, don't.
this one is really popular in the community. The people really love him. The design and everything is like wow.
Uh, yeah, I'm digging
So,
it, and any masked character is kind of it's mysterious. So that's the reason why I was like, tell me more. And I guess that'll be one of the things to our viewers: buy the book so you can find out who this masked character is. So,
because there's a reason behind why he has Mac. Now, I know I'm just covering my face. No, something happened in the comics, so you're gonna know.
mhm. And it's not
Uh,
COVID. COVID did not happen. So it's like
yeah.
it's not wearing a mask because of COVID. Anyway, that's a bad joke. But I was just gonna say is that
And the
very
last one,
uh-huh.
this girl, she's from Guatemala.
Guatemala. Okay.
So why I choose this character? Why these countries? Because we have a lot, right? It's
Mhm.
because in my research I saw why now these countries that I mentioned has a really big population of indigenous people.
Mm.
Because now in all the countries we have a lot of indigenous people. So in this one is the biggest population. Also Mexico, but Mexico I already have a hero, so I don't want to repeat a country. But
Mhm.
even though Mexico is gonna be connected with the natives,
Right.
you cannot see it in this comic, but in the future you're gonna see, oh my god.
Okay. That'll be the next part, the next chapter. We'll have
Okay,
maybe have Mexico added in there, and maybe from there you can start introducing some other nationalities, other international cast that are just
yeah.
beyond Hispanic origins. But so here we're going to move along here. So
I'm
um,
really excited with this one because this is special to me and I create by my own desires, like nobody dictates. With
uh,
this group, I promote social inclusion because if you see the character in the middle, he's a kid, but he has autism.
oh, interesting.
That's
Okay.
why he has a dog because that's part of his therapy. So
Ah.
they help each other. The guy
Uh-huh.
next to it, like he's kind of lying,
Uh-huh.
achondroplasia. That's a disease. Like you know Tyrion Lannister,
Yes. Yes.
like he's small. I don't have to say the
Oh.
so he,
Okay. Yeah.
you can see this girl like she has cancer,
Okay.
and the other guy he has a mental issue. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to say in English, sorry, but he has a kind of mental issue, and his story is really cool
Mm-hmm.
because if you see, he's half reptilian, but why and what happened?
Okay.
So I have a really cool story with this,
Uh-huh.
and for me, they are the Latinos in USA. They are the immigrants.
Oh, okay. So I
So
noticed you have at the bottom. It's called reactor.
reactive, yeah, because he's yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They
So
are
let's.
the group of the name is the reactives.
Okay, actics. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
So a lot of
Uh-huh.
people, when I post this, the people really love the inclusion. Like they really get into this because and the girl here, I'm sorry, I above that she has Down syndrome.
Yeah, and I was wondering about that because I was looking at. I actually did a kids book that had lead character was had Down syndrome, and I noticed the characteristics of the eyes, and so
Yeah,
it's curious to see that I immediately picked up on that. So I love that you've developed a super team that that shows here that even superheroes who may have disabilities or
they
are
can be
still
heroes.
they can be
That's my idea.
super, they can be super, yeah.
Because I really hate about society. They always trying to put aside someone because it's different. No, like everyone can be a hero. Or we are all the same. Like what? Like
Yeah.
you can say they cannot be heroes. So this is my idea.
Mhm.
But something happened now, and it's gonna be kind of like the Peru when they speak with this history. Like the people always say, "Ah, why they are green? They look like Green Lantern."
I noticed that, but I didn't think they were Green Lantern. I just
The
thought that was
people,
their.
I get that a lot. So for me, I have they are immigrants, but right now, like the last week, Netflix has a show. The name is Immigrant Nations. I don't know if you saw it,
No,
but
I
they
haven't.
talk about ICE and the immigration. Oh my God, it's really shocking.
Ah.
So that gives me an idea how can I create the story of this because I don't have it yet. I just have the characters. And I
Mm.
need to join with the others because my final issue is gonna be all the 20 heroes together. But how I can do that, right? But right now I get a different meaning about the green. So they are immigrants. The green is gonna be kind of like the green card. You know what I mean?
I was thinking that, but I wasn't sure. And now that you confirmed it, so the green has a symbolic meaning for because in
Because
current
all
terms.
the immigrants want that. All the people who came here is looking the American dream and how you can do it. Like if you have
Mm-hmm.
like you can be finally free. So that's the fight we have. So in my story, because I can think in this day how can create this story, I don't want to make a literal like green is green card. No, I want to give a different significant, different meaning to the green. So it's not gonna be literally a green card, but it has to be with that. And
Yeah.
I'm really like trying to, I want to do like really good story about this.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing that story. So let's keep on moving along here. So here we have
The
uh,
antivirus,
the anti-heroes. Yeah.
we have Cuba here, the first one left.
Mhm.
He's Baku. The name is Baku. For me, it's really difficult to create names sometimes. It's the most difficult part. But,
Uh,
but with Cuba, if you see Baku, is the name of Cuba, but the
uh,
other twice. Baku, Cuba. He's,
okay, and that's this guy here in the background, right? This
yeah,
is
that one. He's
ba- Baku.
Baku.
Baku. Okay, so
I
who's
chose also that name because I like Dragon Ball and you see Goku.
oh, gotcha. So
So
it's not.
it
It's
sounds
great
like
if you can
Baku.
like, yeah, if you can have like things that you're interested in that like Dragon Ball Z, and then kind of weave that into like to your current creations. I think that's brilliant. So we have this other character here in the foreground who's white. What is his story?
His first issue, he's with Peru.
Uh-huh.
That his first appearance is in the first comic, but I cannot tell too much. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay, okay. I'm gonna keep on trying to get you to tell me more, but it's a good thing you're not listening to me. Just tease us, so that
yeah.
way people will go buy the book. Yeah.
With this group are the anti-heroes. So his first appearance is the comic Seeds. So
Mm,
with Baku, I'm trying also to tell the story of the Cubans, like really resume, like he trying to get to USA, but something happened. So
mm,
that's the other thing that I would like to introduce because it's something is happening right now. So he trying to get here, but what happened with him? So
mm.
that's in the comic. The next one, he's from Puerto Rico. He's
Okay.
Boriken.
What's his name again?
Boriken.
Borican.
Boriken or Boriken.
Okay. All right. So
Uh,
that sounds like a really cool name. Yeah.
you know, Puerto Rico, you call them Boricua, right? So
Ah, yeah.
Boriken is also like the same.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. And I
So
notice he has are these cybernetic arms?
So what happened in his story? He doesn't have arms, but with because of the billions, they take a bunch of him and they use him. So that's the way because we as a third world country, the biggest nations always take a bunch of us. So that's
Mm,
my idea to try to show because that's something happened to. So I cannot
interesting.
tell too much, but it's kind of like that. In the middle,
Right.
he is from Chile. His name is Gemela.
Okay.
Gemela
Himela. Okay.
in Spanish means twin.
Twin.
So
Okay.
in the history, she has twin, but she doesn't have a name, but she called herself as Gemela. because when she was a little, that's all what she heard, gemela, gemela. But why? So that's his name.
Okay. And then we have these last two characters here. So,
The other one is the Venezuela icterus.
uh-huh.
So remember that I told you he has an animal.
Oh yes, right.
Cuba,
Uh-huh.
the first one, he has also he has an octopus. He's connected to an octopus. Venezuela is connected to a bear. And
Right.
the native girl that I showed you, the one who has the jaguar,
Mm-hmm.
they three are connected because they have a story in common. So you can see how the present and the past are connected. So
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
the idea. And the last one, she is from Uruguay. She's Eureka.
Okay.
With this character, I want to introduce the LGBTQ.
I see. Gotcha.
It's really
Uh-huh.
important to me to be inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And the story with she's gonna have like a big story like in the comic 11, and I'm gonna show so much more of her because I want to share that part of the community because that's
Okay.
part of us. LGBTQ is part of the society, so I need to
Right.
represent them.
Awesome. That's really great. You know, it's funny because when you said she's like, because I heard she's like 11, and I was thinking of Stranger Things from Netflix, but you're talking about issue number 11. So
Ah, no, yeah,
I was thinking, oh, she has powers like 11, but
no, no,
anyway,
no, no.
yeah, okay. So anyway, so we're gonna go here. So now we're rounding it out here in terms of like is coming full
So
circle. Yeah.
this is a really cool poster. This is one of the posters I sell the most in the Comic Cons in Colombia.
Yeah, it's powerful, very powerful. Yeah.
So just if someone make look the details, this girl she has a scepter, right?
Uh-huh.
If you can see that scepter, Brazil has it. So what happened there?
Oh, okay. So this is the tie to Brazil. This is that
No,
scepter.
yeah, the scepter. If you see this girl, is the scepter. The
Uh-huh.
Brazilian one has it. So that's
Okay.
a clue, right?
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Uh, these guys for me are the biggest villain. Is like the Thanos of my comic.
Uh-huh.
So I base on them with the Anunnaki. I don't know if you know Anunnaki.
Yeah, the they it's we were talking earlier about we're both fans of that show Ancient Aliens.
I
So it's sort of like everybody when you hear the word Anunnaki, it's like, oh, all right, it's like code word for like
so,
we're deep geeks when it comes to alien mythology. So it's always good to
so
hear about.
with them because this is about the Anunnaki. So it's more. So that's my universe becomes more bigger because we are talking now with people of another planets.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
they are so my final issue is all the 20 with those two.
Uh-huh.
So if you see in the background there is the moon again, the moon break.
Right. Uh,
So
okay, so maybe that's a little bit of a hint that maybe the Anunnaki or these villains are they might be responsible for the destruction of the moon, maybe? Or
mm,
okay, we're not. I won't. You don't have to answer that. That's just me like
related.
speculating.
So I
Okay,
really love this poster and I have a really big uh,
okay.
plans with
So
it.
so this last piece that I have here. Okay, so obviously this has like some kind of like like actual real people connotations here in terms of and I'm going to let you kind of explain this a little bit because I obviously can draw my own conclusions, but uh, please feel free to like let our audience know about this particular
Uh,
cover art.
was one of the four poster Carlos made from the beginning.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I can say this, maybe, but the why I create Heroes Latinos was because in that time was when before Donald Trump was president, he
Uh-huh.
was talking a lot of bad things about Mexican people and the Latinos. And when I saw that new in the television, it got to my mind like, like who can save us? That's what I think. Like I swear.
Uh-huh.
So I always imagine because I like a lot of conspiracy theories
Uh-huh.
about reptilians. So I say like maybe I can make him as a reptilian. But that came a long time, like really after, because when I have that idea, who can save us? I just focus in Colombia, and I
Yeah.
didn't I'm gonna make comics, right? So I always have that idea on mind. So that's
Uh-huh.
why I bring here reptilians.
Okay. Well, it's definitely an interesting story here, and I just think that it was nice, like just having fun with it a little bit in terms of like weaving in some current real people or real figures, but it's all in fun. It's just telling a nice story, and not leaning towards any one direction. But I really just appreciate. I mean, this is just some really phenomenal art, and I wanted to show this. And this will be a perfect segue as we kind of like get close to the end of this interview. But I wanted to let people know about your Kickstarter. So let me call that up right now. Stop screen, and we're going to. Here we go. All right, so here is where people can go to support Michael Almeida's project. It's live on Kickstarter right now. Heroes, Latinos, the Natives. And you can see here, this will end in like 5 days. We have 40 backers here, and I think both I and Michael, we would appreciate if anybody is remotely interested in Michael's story, find a way that we can help support a great creative content, independent creative content creator. And there's a lot of the things that Michael talked to us about. You can read it here. You can see all the little award tiers that are listed here to the right. But it's rich, very rich in storytelling, and you saw the phenomenal art that goes behind every issue here. And as we go talk about like the future, I was encouraging Michael to like put together those initial first issues, which are like listed here. We have issue 1 all the way up to issue 8, and of course leading into issue 9, which is this part of this Kickstarter here. So we'd appreciate it if you could show some love and support, and if you can find it within your means, support him. And here's another example of just Michael's creative way of expressing his ideas to his artist. And we got an insight in terms of how the artist interprets it, and from pencils to inks to colors. I mean, this is pro level stuff. I just can't say how much that I am impressed with what Michael's putting out with his creative team. So check it out. And again, it's right here. If you check out Kickstarter, Heroes Latinos, and I encourage you to go check it out. So that being said, I'm gonna like stop sharing the screen here. So Mike, gonna leave the floor open to you as we round out the end of this interview, which was a true pleasure to have you here to talk about your project. I'm gonna let you say any final words. What would you like to tell our audience?
I don't know. First of all, I would like to really say thank you to Carlos and Bruna because they start with me from the beginning. And when you are independent, you have to pay for everything. And to make this kind of quality of comics is really expensive. But then they really helped me and they charged me really cheap. They were really cheap with me from the beginning, and I'm really grateful with them. Uh, and also another thing that I didn't say about them, like most of the three of them, Diego, Bruna, and Carlos, this was also his first big comic project. So it's like everyone start together. So it was like wow. So thank you, Bruna, thank you, Michael, and thank you, Diego, who is also being supported with the last comics, and Leandro. So for everybody, like I hope you can follow me in social media so you can know more about my project because I have more plans. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. It was a pleasure to have you here. And let me exit out of here. And let me just put across the bottom here. So here, just want to let everybody know this is where you can go to support Michael's projects. And I am hoping that it'll meet its goal. And we're going to hear many more stories from Heroes Latinos, and that we'll get to issue 200. So I want to see all of that. I want to hear where all these characters go, and see more phenomenal art. You've got a phenomenal team, and I think that's great. That I think all of your team has pretty much saw the potential in your great storytelling, that they're willing to contribute and to make things happen. And I totally impressed. So great things. I'm looking forward to having you back here on Comics Cast, and when you do issue 200. Okay, so let's. Okay, so as a tradition, as we end all of our shows, I just wanted to do a final plug for our partner charity group, and that partner charity group is Golden Fight. And if you look here, this is the charity that we are going to be doing a fundraiser in September with. So if you can, please check it out. I'm going to share a little screen for their website. So this is Golden Fight, and Golden Fight is a true organization that is, I like to call big enough and small enough at the same time. Big enough in terms of they have a big heart. What their main goal is to help families that have children that are experiencing very tragic diseases like cancer. And often when families or parents are dealing with that they can't, or financial difficulties will occur. And that's where Golden Fight comes in. They help the families deal with those financial difficulties, and they are small enough in the sense that they don't have a huge overhead. They have a very focused area in the Mid-Atlantic region, and they pretty much the money that they raise, 97, 98% of that goes to the family. A very small percentage of it goes to cover administrative fees and things like that. It's just a true from the heart organization. I think a lot of their leadership actually doesn't even take salaries. Their main goal is just to help families so that their families can focus on the healing of their children. So very good organization. Look for our fundraiser that's going to be coming up in I think late September. But if you feel so inclined, check out their website, and if you want to contribute outside of our fundraiser that's coming up in September, please do. Great organization, and I can't say enough good things about them. So let me close the screen. So Michael, I just want to thank you again. You are a phenomenal guest, and I am so impressed with you. And this is another fun fact. Michael did this in 2017. He started in 2017, and he has 9 issues under his belt. That is amazing. A lot of independent creators, myself included, I don't have any comic under my belt right now. And it's just amazing that you as a writer, creator, have been able to find the resources and show the passion and creativity to find artists that want to support your vision and put this out. That just goes to show all this creativity is just wanting to materialize and be out there and share with the world. So please, if people like what you see and you're watching this show, follow Michael Almeida at his. I'm going to show his social media one more time here. Please check him out and support his Kickstarter. 5 more days to make it happen. So, okay. So that being said, I'm going to end the show right now. Please support Michael. Please support Golden Fight, and check us out, Comics Cast. We're on YouTube as well as Facebook, and we look forward to the next episode next week. So love you guys. Keep being creative. All right. Have a good Saturday. Bye-bye.